Welcome to the Blinded Truth podcast where real stories meet real healing. We are your hosts, Destinnee Vance, and co host
Eric.
Today's episode is titled Turning Grief into Purpose. This conversation is for anyone who has lost someone they truly believe will still be here. The people we thought we had more time with, the conversations we thought we would still get to have, the moments we assumed were still coming. Grief has a way of showing up uninvited. It changes you, it forces you to face the reality that life can shift in a single moment. But sometimes the same pain that breaks your heart is the pain that wakes up your purpose. Today, we're talking about the process of grief, what it means to carry the memory of those we've lost, and how that loss can push us to live, speak, and serve differently. This episode is powered by Destiny is by Choice Support Services because your journey, your voice, and your truth matter. So I am going to be in the hot seat today because you will be interviewing me about this topic.
Yes.
Please play nice.
Always.
No, you don't.
Okay. Okay. First, when we get started, how you feeling?
I'm feeling okay.
You liking the weather outside?
I ain't.
It's like 80 degrees. Nice. Hot girl summer type stuff.
And you know it.
Oh Lord, help me, help me. Well, yeah, we're here. We're gonna discuss a very touchy subject.
Yeah, it is.
Because it can go either way with a person talking about grief and experiencing grief. Um, and I believe it's because it's a thin line between acceptance and denial.
Yes, I do believe that.
It seems like sometimes they can collide together, and it's hard to get to the other part of grief because of that, the healing part.
I think denial comes first.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Then again, now
For some people, acceptance, but I think it depends on what the situation is. But denial, I know for me, um, denial came first for me in a lot of.
but it also acceptance, false acceptance can come first because
false acceptance.
a lot of people have something happen to where they block it out. They're not denying it. They just choosing to accept it.
Yeah.
Well, they do accept it. They're like, I'm all right. I'm good. I'm fine. You know how people be the strong person in the family, had to do everything to get like a funeral arranged, whatever. And then when all is said and done, they go somewhere and that's when they break down.
So I have to say, well, for false acceptance, when you put it like that, I experienced that with my dad.
Okay.
But when I lost my two brothers, I did denial first. Denial was the very first thing.
All right. So to start it off, I want to ask you, why do you want to really sit down for an hour and talk about the subject? Because it may bring up some things that you haven't never really talked about or didn't even know existed.
Okay, so I think for one, grief is something that a lot of people shy away from because it's a touchy subject. And I feel like for me, like to have the conversation, I have healed and grown. So I'm okay. I've gotten past those points. You get what I'm saying? Like I still have my moments of experiencing like sadness when I think about certain things with losing my brother, like with my dad, a certain song come on that he's listened to or used to listen to. And I think for me, what triggers me the most is my youngest son because he is like a spinning image of him. He walks like him, he talks like him, he moves his hands like him. And he now the way he's dressing is like my mama was like, oh my gosh. spitting image.
Okay, so what is the hardest part about losing your loved ones?
Ooh. I think for me the hardest part was the unexpectedness because with my dad, he hid his illness from his children. So we didn't know exactly what was wrong. We just knew he was sick, but we didn't know exactly what was wrong. For my oldest brother, so suicide was like a thing people talked about, but it was kind of like not in my family type thing. So having him commit suicide was hard because it was like what and how and why. Those were the questions that went through my mind. And then with my youngest brother, um, I had the mindset of as long as he was locked up, he was safe and he was safe from the things out on the street, not thinking, again, I think we think about not in my family, not thinking. One of the things my grandma said was people think the battle is in the streets, but the battle is actually when you go inside the prison. You have to, it's a whole different type of battle.
Yes, it is. It's mainly a mental battle.
Yeah.
You know, especially if you're not with the right people.
Yeah.
You know, that could be a determining factor of how your time and your life ends up. You know, either you do the right thing and make it out, or do the wrong thing and never make it out.
Yeah. So I that was the hardest part was because it was the unexpected.
So, how do you handle the unanswered questions, like the why?
That was hard. I don't have an answer for that because that was the hardest part of, I would say, mostly with my oldest brother Travis and Tayshawn because um I mean it was so for Tayshawn I can remember saying at his funeral, um I was getting up praying and talking to God and saying, like, can you please help me, give me strength? And then I can remember I was so angry with God. I can remember praying, saying, what the fuck? Like literally, because I could not grasp like what was happening right now. To the point I can remember calling my best friend Empress and I was on my floor, like literally crying. My mom was on the way. And she was like, I don't understand what you're saying at this point. And I just kept saying, why. And I think I never processed the whys um, until I started like getting into this field and helping other people, like coming in contact with other people that was like, I lost a brother, I lost a dad, I lost a sister. Um, to overdose. I lost a family member to suicide. And like being able to talk with them and say, they would ask the same question, why? And I would be like, sometimes we really don't know. We really don't understand until later on.
Do you think you have did you suffer from survivor's remorse?
When you say survivor's remorse,
You know how like the they're gone. Why it should have been me. Feel bad because you're still here and
um, I did.
I told you though. I already told you. And for real, don't wipe the tears if you probably need to let them out.
So That day, I did. I remember having that conversation with my mom.
Damn. Hey, look, you needed that one. Right? Are you gonna start ever listening to me?
I don't know. I remember having a conversation. My mom had came and she got me calm, and so I remember asking why not me? When my brother had died, but I think people were so focused on keeping me sane because I was pregnant with my older son, and I was high risk of miscarriaging him because of the miscarriages before. So people were kind of like trying to keep me focused that I really didn't have time to stay focused on why not me. But for my youngest brother, I could remember sitting on the side of the bed and I said, Mom, why does this keep happening to the people so close to me and not me? And she broke down crying and she said, you don't know how much I prayed for you. Mm. And I didn't want to hear that because I was like, all I could think about was my stepmom um, going, like, losing my brother. And I knew that at the moment she wasn't strong enough to deal with it. But I knew my mom, if something would have happened to me, I knew my mom could handle it, you know? Um, so I asked that question so many times, like, because I knew the people around me that was my family, my friends, they could handle it. But I knew the people that it was happening to could not handle it. Um, my older brother died. My nephew was one. He was 1 years old, and
How old is he now?
he is so Josiah will be 13, no 14. He's 15.
Wow.
Yep, he's 15.
You know, like you never know how fast time passes when somebody passes away.
Mm-hmm.
But my father passed away when I was 13, and I'm just turned 50.
Yeah.
You know, and the reason I said that because when he passed away, I didn't cry. Mm-hmm. You know, I held it together until I went to the funeral, and that's when I broke down. Like it really sunk in that okay, he's gone. You know, and that day, I believe that day changed me completely. Mm-hmm. Because I no longer had somebody, male figure over me. Mm-hmm. You know, I was thought that I became a man that day because at that point I thought I had to take care of myself. Yeah. You know, take care of my mom and my sister. That I thought that my days of being a child was over. And I believe that had a lot to do with a lot of the decisions I made. But it can't never be the why we'll never know. Mm-mm. And they say you're not supposed to question God, but in a lot of situations, that's the only thing you can do. Yeah. You know, like to make sense of what's going on. Like why me or why them? You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Because the why will kill you. You know, because always with I think I could have did something. Yeah. And then you take on some blame or some guilt that you had no reason for taking it. You know what I'm saying? And that's true. First off, remember I told you I was a therapist? Oh, I'm not. I'm not. You believe me now? I'm not. Oh, okay. So my bad. I apologize. I took on a lot of you know it was my oldest brother, and then it was me, and then it was um we have twin brothers, and then it was my youngest brother. So with my oldest brother, I took on a lot of like
I should have did this, I could have did this. Why didn't I pick up on that conversation? Because I thought maybe I could have changed his mind up until, he did it. And then with my youngest brother, I took on a lot of guilt because I was like, maybe I should have been harder on him. Maybe I should have said, stay out the street. Maybe I should have, took more time or whatever with him. And I know me and his other sisters, we would have conversations about that because we were the oldest. We felt like the shoulda, coulda, woulda, and that was um, that was hard.
Do you think being religion kind of messes with you when it comes to people dying to you because of that? Like, you know how when somebody passes away, it's always they're in a better place. God called one of the angels and all that, but I think at that moment we're not ready to hear that. We don't even want to hear that. So with that, how do you think that the death shaped you and changed your perception of things of people? And did it make you afraid to allow people in? Did it make you push people away? Did it make you just shut down completely? Because a lot comes with that.
So with losing Tayshawn, it definitely it definitely shaped me. It exposed it made me open my eyes to a lot of stuff. Um, because the way things happen, we had a lot of people in our face that um it kind of takes me back to Psalms 23 where it was like, yea, do I walk through the valley of the shadow of death? Because we had a lot of people at the um repast where I was trying to grieve and I could feel the tears coming, but I could hear God saying, stay focused. Um, because we had people amongst us that knew had a part in his death. And that was hard. That was very hard. Um, but it I feel like made me rely on God more because I went through a lot from March to April, into April. Um, and then I had to really rely on God. Where they say I could have lost my mind, yeah, because I can remember it was Easter, and my friend Jamal came over, and I was at that breaking point, and Jamal could tell like he kept saying, "Just take a ride with me," but I knew I was on the verge of breaking down, and I didn't want to be in a space where somebody couldn't handle me because the day of his funeral, um, I'm literally burying my brother, and I'm getting text messages um, about how I'm not paying attention to at the time my spouse, and they were going to kill themselves and all this stuff. So the next day, I spent 9 hours in the ER checking them in. They were going to kill themselves, and then I was just starting classes. So that Easter, Jamal could tell I had totally went silent on all my friends, and Jamal came just so happened to come by, and he said, "Just take a ride with me." And I was like, "No." That evening, the ambulance was at the house because I was having a mental breakdown. I I remember calling my pastor that evening once they had left, and the ambulance lady, she was like, "I need you to rest." I called her pastor and I said, "Why is this happening to me? I really need to know why." And he was like, "You ain't gonna know why." Not today, not next month, not next year. I think it really like I couldn't stay angry for too long because I needed God more than anything in that moment. I couldn't rely on nobody else but God in that moment. And so I could understand why somebody gets angry and gets upset and questions why and and push God to the side. I can wholeheartedly understand that. Um, but at that moment, I couldn't do that because my life was literally like crumbling in the midst of me, and I still had to try to hold it together because I had kids.
You know, what I do know about death is once you're conditioned, you never look at it the same, and it never make you feel the same. Like it'll take somebody really, really, really close for me to share a tear. You know, by seeing so many people lose their life over the years, is like I can't even count no more. You know, but a friend, he just lost his mom, and when I said saying that, it hurt. You know, I felt it. You know, because we grew up together in the projects. I lived in suburban. They lived in Dorchester. Miss Teen was a good lady, you know, and I only had good memories of her, you know, and I didn't think that it would bother me until really I didn't. Let me rephrase that. I didn't realize how much it had affected me until yesterday when I was at the hospital talking to my mom. You know, and I asked her by seeing by her outliving all of her friends, how does that make her feel? And her answer was, you know, like she's accepted it and fearful at the same time, you know, because I'm starting to outlive some of my friends, and I understand it, and it's not the same anymore, you know. It's just hard, you know, and I don't think we're ever fully prepared for it, but I believe that if we reach out to the people that we know got our back, it can help us through the process. But I think mostly times we shut down instead of reaching out.
I I definitely agree with that. So one of the things my counselor wanted to do was call it grief therapy, and I kept every time she would try to bring something up, I would just, and so today happened until finally when I had that breakdown, I had to tell her, um, and she said, "So are we going to address it, or are we going to keep pushing it down?" And I was like, "I'm gonna address it," but it was really because, like I said, I went from burying my brother to spending 9 hours in the ER checking in my ex-husband. And when I got home, I didn't have time to be having a mental breakdown. My kids still needed me, you know. Um, it was it was no time, and I was still in school. I had just started school, where if I didn't make a certain grade, I didn't get financial aid. So I was really in survival mode.
And I also think like coming from our culture, we are forced to heal quick.
Yeah.
You know, we can't sit back and be like, "For me," you know, it happened. Move on, deal with it, let it go. You know.
And for me, and I think it's hard too for a lot of people that suffer with depression, because you kind of like toggle between not staying in it because you fear that if you do stay in it, it's going to keep you there. And so for me, it kind of like took me back to how my daddy raised me. Like, brush the shit off your shoulder and keep it moving. You don't show no weakness. So I had to keep moving. And I felt like I had to grieve in silence, because every time I would try to grieve out loud, it was like the person I was with was kind of like wanting to bring the attention back on them. So I didn't have a safe space of grieving, but in counseling. To the point that July, my friends, they came down and they was like, "Oh no, we gonna shut this down. We gonna get this together." And I needed that. I needed that. And I think that families need to stop making people be on their time with things, or try to push things underneath the rug when it doesn't fit into their criteria of a family. Um, because it really causes people to not get the healing and the closure that they need.
I think people thinks that grief has to look a certain way,
Mm-hmm.
but it comes in all shapes, sizes, colors, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how I grieve isn't how you grieve. Mm-hmm. Like when I was using drugs, that'd be how I grieve. Like I'd go get high so I couldn't feel the pain. But you know, once I came down, it was still there. And shutting down and isolating, I don't know if that's all the way unhealthy thing, because I feel like sometimes you need to get by yourself so you can think and so you can process. Mm-hmm. But I think if you stay there too long, that's when it really becomes unhealthy. Yeah. You know, and when your friends came, I think that was probably the right time for them to come, because it allows you to go through some feelings before they got there so you can deal with the real issue at hand. Yeah. Man, I'm killing it today.
And when you say, you know, you using drugs is how you would have processed grief. When I was my youngest brother, like alcohol was my thing. And if I'm being honest, I struggled with it as an adolescent. Like that was weed and alcohol. That was my go-to. But do you not know, with his death, every time I would try to drink alcohol, I could not get a buzz. I could not get a buzz to the point. I remember going out to eat. I was with two of my friends and my mom. And my one friend said, "I know what you're trying to do. Stop." And I was like, he was like, "It's not working. Just stop."
And, you know, I struggled with alcohol also as a teenager, right? And my father passed away from alcoholism. Mm-hmm. I mean, he died, and they found him 3 days later at the kitchen table dead. Like it wasn't like, yeah, it was horrible. But when I turned 21, I stopped drinking, and now I'm just like, that's why. Mm-hmm. He was the reason I stopped drinking. And you know, you never know what I don't know how to put this. Like sometimes somebody's death could be that driving force in your life to do something. You know,
I totally believe that, because I I had an addiction to food. But when Tayshawn died, I couldn't eat, to the point when I did eat. Usually I would have been grazing on food, like I'm eating. But when I did eat, I would get sick. So the day of his funeral, um, my sister, she was like, I said, I feel like I'm gonna pass out. I said, I felt dog, I'm gonna pass out. And she said, "Did you eat?" And I said, "No." So she was trying to force me to drink a protein shake. And the more I kept drinking it, the more I kept feeling sick. And now anything that stressful comes in my life, I don't eat. You know that because I started losing weight, and you were like, "What is going on with you?"
Yeah, I thought you was on that stuff.
Or whatever. But I don't eat now. I will. It's something about it. It just. So when you ask, experiencing is experiencing grief defines you. I feel like people experience grief all the time, right? But I think it takes that one thing, whether it's a death or closure from a relationship or whatever, that defines you into who you are or who you're becoming. Um, because I just think it takes that one thing to kind of be like, I ain't doing this no more. I ain't doing that no more. I have a member who just lost her stepfather, and she said, and she's pregnant, and she said, usually by now I would have been drinking. I don't even want to drink. I'm like, hmm.
Let me make a disclaimer real quick. All right.
Mm-hmm.
I know you hear me laughing and joking, and I know this is a serious subject. That is just the way that I handle grief. I have to joke through it just so I can handle it.
But if people really get to know you, that's how you actually process things.
That's the only thing I know how to do. I don't know how to do it another way.
But when you serious, and you not playing,
when I put my foot down or something,
yeah, you get this serious
down, foot is
you get
down.
this serious look, and your eye go the other way.
Wow, you see, I got a biggie small jump. That's crazy. Not the biggie. I should have would have told you the biggie.
But that's how people. That's how if they know you, then yeah, that's how you really are.
But that's the way that I handle a lot of stuff. You know? And I think a lot of us do. We just don't have somebody that bring it out at the time when you need it. But any comedian can find comedy in death.
Yeah.
Any good comedian. So death ain't always a bad thing, Mm-hmm. To be completely honest, a lot of people that's dead deserve to die. They just ain't, A lot of people didn't deserve to die neither, but a lot of them that really did need it, because they did something to deserve it.
I think one thing I appreciate when you made that comment, I saw your mom was in the hospital. She had just got out of surgery, and you went in there joking with her. And I'm looking at you like, this is a serious moment right here.
Yeah, I want to thank you for let me for coming down there and being my support because I don't have anybody to support. Thank you for being a friend to me. I needed a co-host, friend. You're a good friend. You you just sometimes you're just so strict,
right?
And that's when I don't come around for a while, and you be like, "What he at?" I ain't got time to hear that, man. You know what I mean? I'm keeping it real with you.
Whatever.
But thank you for that. We need good people in our lives to help us with tough and serious things that come up.
Yeah.
So I'm just stuck on the fact that you had some good friends to come in your life and help you through that. Because I got two people, quote unquote, friends that's around this area that when I'm going through something, I can call. And at first I didn't have one. Mm-hmm. And at first I wouldn't be willing to share where I'm at with nobody. I would grieve in silence. Mm-hmm. That's when I was allowed to grieve. Now I don't know if I grieve or I just really deeply think about stuff because my mom being in the hospital has been really bothering me, and me trying to navigate everything I got going on in life. I really don't have time to sit down and really process what's going on because I'm afraid I'm gonna get stuck in that. Mm-hmm. Because she's 82, gonna turn 83, and I know when she does pass, it's really gonna hurt. But I know I have some good people that they're not gonna allow me to fail, yeah, or fall. And if I do fall, they will be there to help pick me back up. Yeah. I got some that's gonna be there to catch me. And it's just the thing is, I don't think you can prepare for it, but I think a person should get as close to preparing for it as possible. Yeah. Like before it happens, gain some acceptance of the matter. Like I've done. I talked to my mom. I think she has also. I don't think my sister has. And when my sister's dad passed away, I wasn't sad because he passed away. I was sad because my sister was going through the things she was going through, you know, and I know the difference, you know, because when you love something or someone and you lose it, you don't know how it's gonna happen. You don't know how it's gonna affect you. You don't know what you're gonna do. Yeah. You can only pray and try to do the best that you can with what you got. So and I'm just saying that because I've been around you and you know spending time, getting to know you, you know, working with you, business and stuff like is you're a strong person. I know that. You know, I know that everything that you've been through has helped to make you who you are. I know that. I know like okay, you about business. You know what I mean? And I know you got a big heart, but I also know that you're careful for I guess who you share that heart with. You know, I know you care for a lot of people because of the stuff you do, the work you do, the internship. You know, it takes a heart to do that type of stuff. So my question for you is, what is your driving force now to continue doing what you're doing and to be there to help other people get through what you've been
I mean, I know it shouldn't be my main driving force, and I know I can't not make it not make another person overdose and die or have someone experience suicide in their family. But losing my brothers is my driving force, and raising two young men, you know, and praying that they don't have to put me through that or their children's children don't have to put them through that. Um, that's my driving force because there's a lot of people out here doing the work in social work or being peers, but they're doing it for all the wrong reasons. But the flip side to that is, and I just had a conversation, a midterm with my professor, where the conversation was, I am so compassionate that the fear of me becoming compassion fatigue can happen. So I have to try to balance it out because when I hear somebody overdosed and died or has committed suicide, I have to try to not get too involved in it because I know that it can sometimes affect me. I have a youth or teenager and adolescent IOP. He looks a little bit like my brother. He has the same hair as me, and I as him, and I just look at him, and I'm like, and it's hard for me to not when I'm speaking to him, not come off as you need to do this because out of fear, but out of compassion and love, and I want what's best for you. So I have to try to balance it out, and it's very hard. It's very hard, especially when you work in the field that I'm in, because you come across it all the time.
through. Okay, so for all the people who's watching this and still gonna watch this, what do you want to tell them?
About grief.
Whatever you want to tell them.
What I would want to say is, um, as we all know, that grief is something that you can't stop or you can't avoid. But coming from, I want to speak to the strong people that no matter how strong you are, you still gotta, oh my gosh. All right.
Hey, my mama ain't raised no punk.
um, if my daddy was here, he'd be like, I can't remember who said it, but he'd be like, push that shit up. And I was his only girl too. All right. But no matter how strong you think you are, it's okay to still be soft. And it's okay to express those feelings and ask for help. Because if you don't, you're going to find yourself how I was on that day, that one Easter day, having a mental breakdown and not being able to comprehend what was actually going on in that moment. And for some of us, it can end very badly. It can, if you do struggle with addiction, you can turn left very quickly. But if you struggle with mental health issues, it can also have you end up in a place that you don't want to be. So talk to your people, go to counseling, process through it. Um, and it's okay to be vulnerable when you're the strong person and say, I'm suffering right now. I'm having these problems. I'm needing help, because if you don't, your process through grief is going to possibly have you end up in a place that you don't want to be, mentally, physically, emotionally, all the above. Uh, so that's my take on and my takeaway for you.
Okay, I mean, I feel like grief is a part of life, but how you grieve is a force in life. I don't feel like you should grieve in silence, but you can grieve out loud. You know, and you can't allow nobody to dictate how you grieve.
Yeah.
As long as it's not, as long as it's healthy, like you're not doing unhealthy things while you're grieving, grieve. You know, and if you are doing some unhealthy things, process it and get help. That's because it can lead you down a dark road. You know, and some of us go down that road and never come back. You know, but that's the thing about life. You never know until you got to go through it. You know, and you never know how it affects you until you get on the other side of it.
Yeah.
So I just want to say, don't allow greed to hold you hostage. Deal with it, process it how best you can, and keep it pushing, because you know when you lose, you still got to go on. You know, because when that life is over, your life's still going.
Yeah.
And sometimes when somebody's life is over, that's when your life begins. That can happen.
Yeah.
So I just want to say thank you for allowing me to interview you. You know,
make me cry. Is this payback from when I did your video?
nah, it's just I ain't make you cry. Your heart, your compassion, your spirit. You know, the what you think you have all went healed all the way from shows you that we still got some work to do.
Yeah.
You know, because I cry about stuff that happened 30 years ago.
Like that Little House on the Prairie.
Yeah, yeah. When me and my mom, my sisters watching Little House on the Prairie, all three of us on the couch crying. I seen a little dog running across the field. Man, it was a sad day. But I still cry at movies. I still cry. Like Jenny said, crying
it's
is
like
like
taking your soul to the laundry.
And watching your grandmama smile. Yeah, it is, man. It's good for you. You know, crying, let it out, y'all. And men, this is for you. Um, just because you cry doesn't mean you're weak. And just because you cry, you don't gotta cry in the dark. You don't gotta cry in the shower. Hell, you can cry in front of me. I'll cry with you. For real. I'm gonna cry. I don't care what anybody think.
We know. Got a whole video up.
Wow. I thought this was a safe space.
It is. And you just listened to the Blinded Truth podcast, Turning Grief into Purpose, powered by Destinnee is by Choice Support Services. If you're grieving someone you thought you would still be here, know this. Grief doesn't mean the story is over. Love doesn't disappear just because someone is gone. Sometimes the most powerful way we honor the people we lost is by how we choose to live after them. By the way, we show up. By the way, we fight for others. By the purpose we build from the pain. Grief may always live in your heart, but purpose can grow from it too. Remember, your destiny is by choice, not by chance. Until next time, keep walking in your truth. Bye.
Peace.